Shalom, Israel. I want to go into some civil services in the scriptures. As always, we're going to start at Colossians 3:17. Colossians 3:17. Whatsoever thou do in word or deed, do all by Hashem Mashiach Yahushai, giving thanks to the Most High and the Father, Most High power of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, by Hashem Mashiach Yahushai. Now we're going to go into Daniel's first chapter. Get Daniel's the first chapter. Let's start at verse 1. It says, in the third year of the reign of Jehoiakim, king of Judah, came Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, unto Jerusalem, and besieged it, when he took us into captivity. Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, he was the king of the Ethiopians. And the Most High gave Jehoiakim, king of Judah, into his hand, with part of the vessels of the house of the Most High, which he carried into the land of Shinar, to the house of his God. Remember, all the gods of the nations are idols. Psalms 96:5. And he brought the vessels into the treasure house of his God. So he brought these vessels to the treasure house of his God. Now we're going to concentrate on verse 3. It says, and the king spake unto Ashpenaz, the master of his eunuchs, that he should bring certain of the children of Israel, and of the king's seed, and of the princes, children in whom was no blemish, but well favored, and skillful in all wisdom, and cunning in knowledge, and understanding science, and such as had ability in them to stand in the king's palace, and whom they might teach the learning and the tongue of the Chaldeans. And the king appointed them a daily provision of the king's meat, meaning the things that the Babylonians ate, the Ethiopians ate, and of the wine which he drank, so nourishing them 3 years, that at the end thereof they might stand before the king. Now, you know, the nation could eat anything. They could eat all kind of abominations and so forth. Now, among these, listen at this closely, were of the children of Judah, Daniel, Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah, unto whom the prince of the eunuchs gave names, like they always named us, like they named us. We today have the Edomites, the so-called white man's last name. On us, whether you speak English, Spanish, French, we have Portuguese. These are his last names that we have upon us. This is, unto whom the prince of the eunuchs gave names. For he gave unto Daniel the name of Belteshazzar, and unto Hananiah of Shadrach, and to Mishael of Meshach, and to Azariah of Abednego. So these are the names that were given to the children of Israel.
Q&A mode is on. Participants may now unmute themselves. Presentation mode is on. Only organizers can be heard.
Verse 8. But Daniel purposed in his heart and his mind that he would not defile himself with the portion of the king's meat, nor with the wine which he drank. Therefore he requested of the prince of the eunuchs that he might not defile himself. He didn't want to eat the meats that the king said that they would have to eat for these 3 years to see who's going to be you know, the most powerful in their learning and skills and vitality. Daniel said, hey, excuse me. Daniel said, I don't want none of that meat. That he might not defile himself. So he went to eunuch and said, hey man, I don't want to eat any of the king's meat. I don't want to defile myself. This is how serious we took to the laws of the Most High. Leviticus 11 chapter tells us the meats that are clean and unclean. Verse 10, Daniel 1 and 10. And the prince of the eunuchs said unto Daniel, I fear my power, the king, who hath appointed your meat and your drink. For why should he see your faces worse liking than the children which are of your sort? So now these are children. Mind you, the king ordained that they would have his meat and his wine. For why should he see your faces worse liking than the children which are of your sort? Then shall ye make me endanger my head to the king. So you endanger me by not accepting the king's meat and wine. That's what the eunuch's telling Daniel. Then said Daniel to Melzar, whom the prince of the eunuchs had set over Daniel, Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah, prove thy servants, I beseech thee, 10 days, and let them give us pulp to eat and water to drink. Then let our countenances be looked upon before thee, and the countenance of the children that eat of the portion of the king's meat. And as thou seest, deal with thy servants. So as you see us, deal with us from where you see we're going to be. So he consented to them in this matter and proved them 10 days. He gave them what they wanted, 10 days, pulp and water. And at the end of 10 days, their countenance appeared fair and fatter in flesh than all the children which did eat the portion of the king's meat. Thus Melzar took away the portion of their meat and the wine that they should drink, and gave them pulp, or pulse. As for these 4 children, the Most High gave them knowledge and skill in all learning and wisdom. And Daniel had understanding in all visions and dreams. Verse 17. As for these 4 children, the Most High gave them knowledge and skill in all learning and wisdom. And Daniel had understanding in all visions and dreams. Now at the end of the days that the king had said he should bring them in, then the prince of the eunuchs brought them in before Nebuchadnezzar. And the king communed with them, and among them all was found none like Daniel, Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah. Therefore stood they before the king. And in all matters of wisdom and understanding that the king inquired of them, he found them 10 times better than all the musicians and astrologers that were in all his realm. And Daniel continued even until the first year of King Cyrus. But see, they were of the tribe of Judah. The Most High allowed them to have the wisdom, knowledge, and understanding be way above all the children of the Chaldeans and all those that he gave his meats and his wine. You see? But they were of Jacob's 4th born son, Judah. The tribe of Judah. Look at Genesis 39. Let's look at Joseph. Let's look at Joseph. Bear with me just a moment. Go to Genesis, the 39th chapter. Genesis, the 39th chapter. We'll start at verse 1. Concerning Joseph. Now you know wicked Israelites, Joseph's brothers sold them to the Ishmaelites, who are the Arabs, and they sold them to the Egyptians. Look at Genesis 39. And Joseph was brought down to Egypt, and Potiphar, an officer of Pharaoh, captain of the guard, an Egyptian, brought him of the hands of the Ishmaelites, see, the Arabs, which had brought him down thither. And the Most High was with Joseph, and he was a prosperous man, and he was in the house of his master, the Egyptian. And his master saw that the Most High was with him, and that the Most High made all that he did to prosper in his hand. And Joseph found grace in his sight, and he served him, and he made him overseer over his house, and all that he had he put into his hand. This power that the Pharaoh gave to Joseph, all that he had he put into his hand. Whew. Verse 4. And Joseph found grace in his sight, and he served him. Grace means getting something that you don't deserve. And he made him overseer over his house, and all that he had he put into his hand. And it came to pass from the time that he had made him overseer in his house, and over all that he had, that the Most High blessed the Egyptian's house for Joseph's sake. Just like America's being blessed for the children of Israel's sake, being here. With all the inventions that we invented, and all the money that we bring them as the economy. And the blessing of the Most High was upon all that he had in the house and in the field. And he left all that he had in Joseph's hand. And he knew not aught he had, save the bread which he did eat. And Joseph was a goodly man, goodly person, and well favored. Meaning Joseph was a handsome man and well favored. And it came to pass after these things that his master's wife, his wicked wife, the master's wife, cast her eyes upon Joseph, and she said, lie with me. She said she wanted him to have sex with her. But he refused, and said unto his master's wife, behold, my master wrought not what is with me in the house, and he hath committed all that he hath to my hand. He said, hey, he done gave me everything. All that he have is in my hand. Here go this wicked woman, Pharaoh's wife, trying to seduce him. Verse 9, there is none greater in this house than I. You hear that? There was none greater than Joseph. That's when people be talking about Egyptologists. Come on. Joseph is right under the Pharaoh. We as the children of Israel. One of our brothers from the tribe of Ephraim. He said, behold, my master wroughteth not what is with me in the house, and he hath committed all that he hath to my hand. There was none greater in this house than I. Neither hath he kept back anything from me but thee. The only thing he kept back from him was his wife. Because thou art his wife. How then can I do this great wickedness and sin against the Most High? See? Then you know. For a man to go with another man's woman is a sin against the Most High. It's called adultery, people. And it came to pass, as she spake to Joseph day by day. See, she's trying to entice him day by day. The devil in her. Day by day. Trying to entice him. That he hearkened not unto her. He didn't listen to her. To lie by her. Or to be with her. And it came to pass after this time that Joseph went into the house to do his business. And there was none of the men of the house there within. So he going in there by himself to take care of his business. And she caught him by his garment, saying, lie with me. And he left his garment in her hand and fled and got him out. Left his garment in her hand and he fled. And it came to pass, she saw that he had left his garment in her hand and was fled forth, ran away from her, that she called unto the men of her house and spake unto them, saying, see, here come the lie. She already want to be an adulterer, now she going to be a liar too. Deceitful and evil, the devil and Satan, enemy, adversary, or foe. See, he had brought in an Hebrew unto us to mock us. He came in unto me to lie with me. And I cried with a loud voice. And it came to pass, when he heard that I lifted up my voice and cried, that he left his garment with me and fled and got him out. Big old liar. And she laid up his garment by her until his Lord came home. And she spake unto him according to these words, saying, the Hebrew servant, these words saying this a lie, the Hebrew servant which thou hast brought unto us came in unto me to mock me. And it came to pass, remember, mind you, she's trying to get him to lay with her every day. And just the day that she's going to bring the bomb, the biggest lie ever told against Joseph. By her. And she spake unto him according to these words, saying, the Hebrew servant which thou hast brought unto us came in unto me to mock me. And it came to pass, as I lifted up my voice and cried, that he left his garment with me and fled out. And it came to pass, no different than you see Rosewood, right? The white man came in there and raped that woman. That woman went outside and said, it was a nigger. And all the men, all the brothers was just slaughtered. You know, the woman that ran her children down the hill in the car to drown. She said it was a black man. all the things we've been accused of, being innocent of that crime that we were accused of, but yet and still, they came out. When they say that, they come out and they start rounding us up and treating us very violently, even though you're innocent. And this is what's happened to Joseph. Nothing new under the sun. I know you can relate. Many stories we have to tell. Verse 19. And it came to pass, when his master heard the words of his wife, which he spake unto him, saying, After this matter did thy servant to me, that his wrath was kindled. And Joseph's master took him and put him into the prison, a place where the king's prisoners were bound. And he was there in the prison. Wow. He was there in the prison. Put him in prison. Verse 21. But the Most High was with Joseph and showed him mercy, which is not getting so much to do deserve, and gave him favor in the sight of the keeper of the prison. Gave him favor with the guard that was watching over the prison. And see how that's, when you please the Most High, he make even your enemies be at peace with you. Right there. See what it says? For the Most High was with Joseph and showed him mercy and gave him favor in the sight of the keeper of the prison. And the keeper, remember it kept saying the Most High was with him. And the keeper of the prison committed to Joseph's hand all the prisoners that were in the prison. Let Joseph be over them. And whatsoever they did there, he was the doer of it. The keeper of the prison looked not to anything that was under his hand, because the Most High was with him. And that which he did, the Most High made it prosper. Every aspect of what he did, he made it prosper. Look at Genesis 41 and 38. Genesis 41 and 38. And Pharaoh, I'll start at verse 37. And the thing that was good in the eyes of Pharaoh and in the eyes of all his servants, the Pharaoh said unto his servants, Can we find such a one as this is, a man in whom the Spirit of the Most High is? So you see, because Joseph counsels Pharaoh, and he's giving him understanding of something that no one else could. No one else could. And that's his dream. Without knowing the dream. Mind you, it's deep. Verse 39. And Pharaoh said unto Joseph, For as much as the Most High have showed thee all this, there is none so discreet and wise as thou art. Thou shalt be over my house. Now he's back over his house. From prison to over his house. Thou shalt be over my house, and according unto thy word shall all my people be ruled. So who's ruling over the Egyptians? An Israelite. Joseph. Only in the throne will I be greater than thou. He say, only in my throne will he be greater than Joseph. And Pharaoh said unto Joseph, See, I have set thee over all the land of Egypt. An Israelite over all the land of Egypt. And Pharaoh took off his ring from his hand and put it upon Joseph's hand, and arrayed him in vestures of fine linen, and put a gold chain about his neck. And he made him to ride in the second chariot which he had, and then cry before him, Bow the knee. And he made him ruler over all the land of Egypt. That's why when Pharaoh died, Joseph was in charge. You know, his father and the brothers came. When they had the famine, they came into the land of Egypt, not even recognizing Joseph. And they had to bow down, as his dream said. Like he's saying, bow the knee. And he made him ruler over all the land of Egypt. And the Pharaoh called Joseph's name Zephnath Pioneer. You see how we all names always being changed. Nothing new under the sun, right? And he gave him to wife Asenath, the daughter of Potiphera, priest of On. And Joseph went out over all the land of Egypt. See? And Joseph was 30 years old when he stood before Pharaoh, king of Egypt. And Joseph went out from the presence of Pharaoh and went throughout all the land of Egypt. Okay. 1 Kings 11. We're going through examples of civil services, the services that we were dealing with, and being under these nations sometimes and not. And just dealing with our positions. 1 Kings 11 and 28. And Solomon had horses brought out of Egypt, and linen yarn. The king's merchants received the linen yarn at a price. And a chariot came up and went out of Egypt for 600 shekels of silver, and an horse for 150. And so for all the kings of the Hittites and for the kings of Syria did they bring them out by their means, obedience to King Solomon. Look, King Solomon was living large. When Queen of Sheba came, look at let's go to 1 Kings 10. So we're talking about these Hamites. Let's go into when Queen of Sheba came to meet King Solomon. And when the Queen of Sheba heard of the fame of Solomon concerning the name of the Most High, she came to prove him with hard questions. And she came to Jerusalem with a very great train, with camels that bear spices, and very much gold and precious stones. She ain't coming empty-handed. And when she was come to Solomon, she communed with him of all that was in her heart, all that was in her mind. And Solomon told her all her questions. There was not anything hid from the king, which he told her not. She was overwhelmed with the wisdom of King Solomon, who was King David's son. And when the Queen of Sheba had seen all Solomon's wisdom and the house that he had built, and the meat of his table, and the sitting of his servants, and the attendance of his ministers, and their apparel, and his cupbearers, and his ascent by which he went up unto the house of the Most High, by which he went up into the house of the Most High, there was not more spirited. There was no more spirit in her. She couldn't believe it. She couldn't believe it. And she said to the king, it was a true report that I heard in mine own land of thy acts and of thy wisdom. Howbeit I believed not the words. I didn't believe these words they were saying about you, King Solomon, until I came, and mine eyes had seen it. And behold, the half was not told me. Say, the half of what you really know was not told me. Thy wisdom and prosperity exceeded the fame which I heard. Happy are thy men. Happy are these thy servants, which stand continually before thee. and that hear thy wisdom. See, we had peace for 40 years under King Solomon. He would have said, happy are thy men, happy are these thy servants, which stand continually before thee, and that hear thy wisdom. Blessed be the Most High power, thy power. You see, the power of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. These Hamites are acknowledging the power of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Nebuchadnezzar, Pharaoh, in dealing with Joseph, setting him up. Blessed be the Most High power of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. That's his name forever and ever and ever. Which delighteth in thee, to set thee on the throne of Israel, because the Most High loved Israel forever. Hear that? She even recognized that. This is what she said. Therefore made he thee king to do judgment and justice. And she gave the king 120 talents of gold, and of spices very great store, and precious stones. There came no more such abundance of spices as these which the queen of Sheba gave to King Solomon. And the navy also of Hiram, that brought gold from Ophir. That's the best gold. Gold of Ophir. Bought in from Ophir great plenty of almond trees and precious stones. And the king made of the almond trees pillars for the house of the Most High, and for the king's house harps also, and psaltery for singers. That's the piano today, and the harp, as we know it, is a string instrument. There came no such almond trees, nor were seen unto this day. And King Solomon gave unto the queen of Sheba all her desire, whatsoever she asked. And it said whatever she desired to lay with her. It said whatever she asked. Because they be trying to say that Queen of Sheba, that Haile Selassie is from the lineage of Solomon and Queen of Sheba, the Ethiopian. But the baby would be the lineage of the father. And the king made of the almond trees pillars for the house of the Most High, and for the king's house harps also, in the psaltery for singers. There came no such almond trees, nor were seen unto this day. And King Solomon gave unto the queen of Sheba all her desires, whatsoever she asked, beside that which Solomon gave her of his royal bounty. He gave her things too. So she turned and went to her own country, she and her servants. Now the weight of gold that came to Solomon in 1 year was 666 talents of gold. Beside that he had of the merchantmen, and of the traffic of the spice merchants, and of all the kings of Arabia, and of the governors of the country. And King Solomon made 200 targets of beaten gold. 600 shekels of gold went to one target. Wow. That's why I say the people that have money now, nothing compared to all this money that we're reading about now. And this is just what's written. And he made 300 shields of beaten gold. 300 shields of beaten gold. Not silver, not iron, but of gold. 3 pounds of gold went to one shield. 3 pounds of gold went to one shield. That's 900 pounds of gold. Almost 1,000 pounds of gold. 900, 1,000 less 100. And the king put them in the house of the forest of Lebanon. He put them in the house. Moreover, the king made a great throne of ivory, and overlaid it with the best gold of Ophir. The throne had 6 steps, and the top of the throne was round behind. And there were stays on either side of the place of the seat, and 2 lions stood beside the stays. Had 2 lions on each side. And 12 lions stood there on the one side and on the other upon the 6 steps. 12 lions. There was not the like made in any kingdom. And all King Solomon's drinking vessels were of gold. He drank out of pure Ophir gold. And all the vessels of the house of the forest of Lebanon were of pure gold. None were of silver. You hear this? None were of silver. It was nothing accounted of in the days of Solomon. For the king had at sea a navy of Tarshish with the navy of Hiram. Once in 3 years came the navy of Tarshish, bringing gold and silver, ivory, and apes and peacocks. And this hooks up with let us know that King Solomon had a navy that came to America. It says once in 3 years came the navy of Tarshish, bringing gold and silver, ivory, and apes and peacocks. And we understand that peacock is a bird that's indigenous for these Western Hemisphere. And also, it took 1.5 years for the 10 tribes to come from the Assyrian captivity over here. I guess remember it says it took 1.5 years to get here to the place of Asareth, a new land where mankind had never dwelt. They came here to get what? Because if you look at South America and Africa, you join them together, they would join right together. So the same thing in Africa could be the same thing in South America, in Central America, and so forth, the Americas. So, but that peacock was not in Europe. It was not in the Far East, as they call it today. It wasn't in Africa. It was here in this hemisphere here. Verse 23. And so he said, once in 3 years came the navy of Tarshish, bringing gold and silver, ivory, and apes and peacocks. So when you look in the Apocrypha in 2nd Ezra, the 13th chapter, 42nd verse down, it said it took them 1.5 years. So it took them 1.5 years to come and 1.5 years to get back. And they had the navigational maps because all the 12 tribes are together during King Solomon's time of rule. They just separated after he messed up in the next chapter, if you're not going to that, you know. But it was under the head tribe of Ephraim and the Joachim that they messed up. And the Most High put the 10 tribes into captivity under the Assyrians. And after they came out of the Assyrian captivity, that's why you put them both together. It took 1.5 years to get here, 1.5 years back. And they brought all these different elements of gold, silver, ivory, and apes. They brought apes and peacocks. Verse 23. So King Solomon exceeded all the kings of the earth for riches and for wisdom. And all the earth sought to Solomon to hear his wisdom, which the Most High had put in his heart. All the earth sought the wisdom of an Israelite of the tribe of Judah, King Solomon's wisdom. And they brought every man his present, vessels of silver and vessels of gold. He already had all this, but that's what Machak Shai said. He that have shall be given, he that have not. Even that he have shall be given to he that have. Very, very true. And they brought every man his present, vessels of silver and vessels of gold, and garments and armor and spices, horses and mules, a rate year by year. Okay. So let's continue on. That's King Solomon. Look at Esther, the 6th chapter. Esther, the 6th chapter. And we're going to read verse 1 to 11. On that night could not the king sleep, and he commanded to bring the book of records of the chronicles, and they were read before the king. And it was found written that Mordecai had told of Bigthana, Bigthana, and Teresh, two of the king's chamberlains, the keepers of the door, who sought to lay hand on the king Ahasuerus. These two wicked men were trying to destroy King Ahasuerus. And the king said, "What honor and dignity has been done to Mordecai for this?" Because Mordecai let him know that they was going to try and bring a coup upon him and take him down. Then said the king's servant that ministered unto him, "There was nothing done for him. Nothing was done for Mordecai." And the king said, an Israelite. And the king said, "Who is in the court?" Now Haman was come into the outward court of the king's house to speak unto the king to hang Mordecai on the gallows that he had prepared for him. So this is the Most High intervening at the perfect time, because Haman, this Edomite, was planning to kill Mordecai. He done built gallows so he can hang him on in front of everybody. But you see how the Most High opened up the king's mind to be able to look at the records of the chronicles and find out that Mordecai is the one that saved his life, but nothing was done for Mordecai for saving the king's life. And Haman, he had planned to come into the house to speak unto the king to hang Mordecai on the gallows that he had prepared for him, prepared for Mordecai. And the king's servant said unto him, "Behold, Haman standeth in the court." And the king said, "Let him come in." So Haman came in, and the king said unto him, "What shall be done unto the man whom the king delighteth to honor?" Speaking of Haman. What you want me to do? What's going on with you? Now Haman thought in his heart, he thought in his mind, to whom would the king delight to do honor more than to myself? That's what he's thinking. He had to be talking about me. And Haman answered the king, "For the man whom the king delighteth to honor, let the royal apparel be brought, which the king uses to wear, and the horse that the king rideth upon, and the crown royal which is set upon his head." Mind you, the king just realized that nothing was done for Mordecai for saving his life. Haman wasn't there. So Haman thinking this is all for him. So he's saying, "Hey, do this for me." That's what he's saying. Do this for me. In his mind. "And let his apparel and horse be delivered to the hand of one of the king's most noble princes, that they may array the man withal whom the king delighteth to honor, and bring him on horseback through the street of the city, and proclaim before him, Thus shall it be done to the man whom the king delighteth to honor." Then the king said to Haman, "Make haste, and take the apparel and the horse, as thou hast said, and do even so to Mordecai, the Jew, that sitteth at the king's gate. Let nothing fail of all that thou hast spoken." I love it. Then took Haman the apparel and the horse, and arrayed Mordecai, and brought him on horseback through the street of the city, and proclaimed before him, "Thus shall it be done unto the man whom the king delighteth to honor." Hallelujah. I love it. But when you understand, when you read the whole story, you can read it. You know, we just went through Purim, and Haman had come up with a decree that they would kill we, the children of Israel. And so Esther risked her life. She was the king's wife, an Israelite woman, beautiful. And she risked her life for the nation. And she went in to the king once, and, you know, she prepared a banquet and all that. And said, "Hey, I want you to come to the banquet, Haman." Haman, not knowing that she's an Israelite, and his plot to kill the Israelites is killing her people. And so she told the king of the matter. And She risked her life going before him, because he either had the scepter up or the scepter down. He had it up because he loved Esther. And the Most High showed favor to Esther, first and foremost. And she said, he planned to kill my people. Just like he planned to kill Mordecai. And the Most High had favor. And before he could do it, the Most High had King Ahasuerus to ask for his chronicles of his records, and read where Mordecai had saved his life, but nothing was done for Mordecai. So Haman now, remind you, he had these gallows built to hang Mordecai. Now he got to walk him around the city, molded. And so we was able to kill our enemies one day, and Esther risked her life again and went in and said, could we kill him another day? So we was able to kill him another day. So now, let's look at Esther, the 10th chapter, and the first verse. And the king Ahasuerus laid a tribute upon the land and upon the islands of the sea, and all the acts of his power and his might, and the declaration of the greatness of Mordecai, an Israelite, whereunto the king advanced him. It's like Daniel was advanced, and his brothers, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, as they were named, and Joseph was advanced. Wherefore the king advanced him. Are they not written in the book of the chronicles of the kings of Media and Persia, the Persian and Mede Empire? For Mordecai the Jew was next unto King Ahasuerus, and great among the Jews, and accepted of the multitude of his brethren, seeking the wealth of his people, and speaking peace to all his seed, to all the children of Israel. Look at Daniel 6 and 1. Daniel 6 and 1. It pleased Darius to set over the kingdom 120 princes, which should be over the whole kingdom. And over these 3 presidents, of whom Daniel was first, that the princes might give accounts unto them, and the king should have no damage. Then this Daniel was preferred above the presidents and princes, because an excellent spirit was in him, and the king thought to set him over the whole realm. See? But as usual, you have people, like in our kingdom, and you have those that are not of our nation, because the kingdom of heaven is within us, the children of Israel, that are wicked, and they plot against those that are righteous all the time. All the time. And what happens? They always come against those that are trying to be most righteous. But the Most High, He knows. And He always delivers the righteous through the angels. That's why I look at Psalms 34 and 7. And see, this is what happens spiritually. You have His righteous angels that are on this earth, that are prepared for war on the right hand and on the left. On the right hand to bless you and to deal with anybody that mess with you in a real way. Psalms 34:7. The angel of the Most High encampeth around about them that fear him and delivereth them. Every time. This is our power. The power of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. He have his angels to surround those that fear the Most High. Because everybody don't fear the Most High. Some people just all talk, but they really don't fear the Most High. That's why they do the things that they do. And as they do the things they do, and they see the results over and over again, and we're going to see how this coincides with Daniel 6. And let's see, when Daniel was thrown in the lion's den, and the lions didn't eat him up, getting right to the point. Verse 19. Then the king arose very early in the morning and went in haste unto the den of lions. Now, mind you, Daniel been thrown into the lion's den. And when he came to the den, he cried with a lamentable voice unto Daniel. And the king spake and said to Daniel, O Daniel, servant of the living power, is thy power, whom thou servest, continually able to deliver thee from the lions? Then said Daniel, that's the first thing Daniel said. Then said Daniel, O king, live forever. Now, this king didn't have them thrown in the lion's den, heated up hotter than it could be heated, beyond measure. He killed the mighty men that was throwing the coals to make it hot. Killed them all. But Daniel and Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. And listen, verse 22. My power, the power of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, the Most High, have sent his angel and have shut the lions' mouths, and they have not hurt me, for as much as before him innocent was found in me, and also before thee, O king, have I done no hurt. I have not done anything to hurt you. Then was the king exceeding glad for him, and commanded that they should take Daniel up out of the den. So Daniel was taken up out of the den, and no manner of hurt was found upon him, because he believed in his power, the Most High power of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And the king commanded, and they brought those men which had accused Daniel, and they cast them into the den of lions, them, their children, and their wives. And the lions had the mastery of them, and brake all their bones in pieces, wherever they came at the bottom of the den. When they hit that bottom, poof, the lions broke them apart. Then King Darius wrote unto all people, nations, and languages that dwell in all the earth, peace be multiplied unto you. I make a decree that in every dominion of my kingdom, men tremble and fear before the Most High power of Daniel, the power of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. For he is the living power, and steadfast forever. And his kingdom that which shall not be destroyed, and his dominion shall be even unto the end. He delivereth and rescueth, and he worketh signs and wonders in heaven and in earth, who have delivered Daniel from the power of the lions. So this Daniel prospered in the reign of Darius, and in the reign of Cyrus the Persian. That was the power of the Most High. And when you see this, it should encourage you to see what it is that we have and being able to be called into this truth. Now, King Nebuchadnezzar threw Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego into the fiery furnace, like I said. And that's in Daniel's 3rd chapter. Let's read a little bit about that. Because they were saying that what time you hear this cornet, you got to bow down and worship this statue that they had made to get rid of the Israelites, because we don't bow to no statues. But we only bow down to the living power of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, the Most High. Listen, Daniel 3:17. If it be so, our power, the power of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, the Most High, whom we serve, is able to deliver us from the burning fiery furnace, and he will deliver us out of thine hand, O king. But if not, be it known unto thee, O king, that we will not serve thy gods, we will not serve thy idols, nor worship the golden image which thou hast set up. Then was Nebuchadnezzar full of fury, and the form of his visage was changed against Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Therefore he spake and commanded that they should heat the furnace 17 times more than it was wrought to be heated. Hear that? 7 times more than it was wrought to be heated. And he commanded the most mighty men, here it is, he commanded the most mighty men that were in his army to bind Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, and to cast them into the burning fiery furnace. Then these men were bound in their coats, their hosen, and their hats, and their other garments, and were cast into the midst of the burning fiery furnace. Therefore, because the king's commandment was urgent, and the furnace exceeding hot, the flame of the fire slew those men that took up Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, killed them. These were the most mighty men of his army, put them to death. And these 3 men, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, fell down bound into the midst of the burning fiery furnace. Then Nebuchadnezzar the king was astonished, and rose up in haste, and spake and said unto his counselors, Did not we cast 3 men bound into the midst of the fire? Then answered and said unto the king, They answered and said unto the king, True, O king. He answered and said, Lo, I see 4 men loose, walking in the midst of the fire, and they have no hurt. And the form of the 4th is like the Son of the Most High. Mashiach Yahushua. Ain't no man ever seen the Most High. So it wasn't the Most High. It was a Mashiach. He said the Son of the Most High, giving us clear indication who it is that he's seen. It wasn't the Most High. It was the Son of the Most High. St. John 1:18. No man has seen the Most High at any time. Read it to you again. No man has seen the Most High at any time. The only begotten Son, which is in the bosom of the Father, he hath declared him. So it wasn't the Most High. It's a Mashiach Yahushua, as he's recognizing here and giving us indication that it is. Through the Spirit of the Most High. Verse 26. Daniel 3:26. Then Nebuchadnezzar came near to the mouth of the burning fiery furnace, and spake and said, listen what he said, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, ye servants of the Most High power. See? Who the servants of the Most High power? The Israelites. Mind you, they are of Judah. The tribe of Judah. One of the tribes of Israel. Come forth, and come hither. Then Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego came forth of the midst of the fire, and the princes, governors, and captains, and the king's counselors